Welcome into WCC All-Access. I'm Ezra Broder. Coming up, we hit the links as the WCC gives out its men's and women's golf trophies. One tournament ended in a blowout, the other in a playoff. Plus, we go back to the sand to crown a beach volleyball champion, see if LMU can repeat as conference champs. And a Pacific basketball player becomes the first to be drafted by a WNBA team. We talk with Valerie Higgins of the New York Liberty. But first, the Pepperdine men's golf team is elite. The Waves were ranked #1 in the country this season, and it showed at the WCC Championship. Pepperdine obliterated the tournament's scoring record en route to its third straight conference title. Let's take a look back.
Didn't know how we were going to do with being a new course, but incredible play by all five, and you know, they made it easy on us coaches, that's for sure. We have a great team this year, but this is probably one of the best teams we've ever had, and so we don't take it for granted, and this is very special for us and each one of our players.
I think it's a good building stone, trying to trend in the right direction when we got NCAA regionals coming up, and this was a good step forward for us. We played well, consistent golf. All of us were inside the top 15, so should be fun next week or in a couple weeks at the regionals. Winning back in 2018 and winning this year, it's been awesome. I haven't really sunk in yet, but I'm glad to get this win.
We were very lucky to have him back this year. He's a fifth year, and such a elite player, and I think he's won 4 times now in 2 WCC championships. I haven't had a chance to kind of go through it with him, but I know he's excited and just proud, and I'm proud of him, and I think our whole team is just happy for him because his game's really coming together now.
A week earlier, the women teed off on the same golf course outside of Las Vegas. A little more drama in that tournament as Gonzaga came away with its first WCC women's golf title in program history, winning in a 2-hole playoff. Check it out.
Oh, I've just been chasing it for so long. It's hard to even talk about, to be honest, at the moment. But we've fought to the end. We've finished second 4 times, I think, and to finally get it, man, I wanted it in regulation. I didn't want to go to playoff, but boy, to come through the playoff, I guess, just makes it that much sweeter.
I mean, it means a lot. Since it's my 3rd year here, we've been through a lot. We didn't get to play last year. We thought we were in good place to play last year, but I'm really glad that we were able to get this win, especially for our 5th-year senior, Jess, who's done so much for the team.
Coming down the stretch, it was just so difficult. The wind was blowing so hard, and there's such difficult holes that I just told them we just have to keep playing, hit to the smart shots, use our brains first, and we're just lucky to come out on the right end of it. It was as hard as golf could possibly be for the last hour, for sure.
I have never been in a playoff with more than one other person, so that was a totally new experience. I was actually super excited because you get to share that feeling with your teammates, and it's not just you. So I had a lot of fun.
The weather and the wind was so hard. It was as difficult as golf could be on a
I feel proud to continue the tradition, and I'm just proud of myself for how I handled everything, and proud of my team for just fighting through it till the end and staying strong.
Time to take a break. When we come back, we go down the coast to see what's making headlines around the conference. And we head to the beaches of Southern California. Another trophy to give out as LMU tried to defend its title just 4 miles away from campus. That's up next. This episode of WCC All-Access is brought to you in part by Nike, Just Do It, and University Credit Union, who invites WCC alumni and fans to bank with their brains and open an account today. We're back on WCC All-Access. I'm Ezra Broder. It's time to go down the coast and see what's making headlines around the conference. And we start with the conference's commissioner. Gloria Nevarez signed a contract extension through 2026. In her first 3 years as commissioner, Nevarez has shaped nearly every facet of the internal and external operations of the conference, including major overhauls to the WCC's branding, expanding the league's national television contracts, adding a long-term title sponsor for the men's and women's basketball tournaments, and launching groundbreaking social justice initiatives. Congrats! More kudos to Gloria, as she was also named to the Knight Commission on Intercollegiate Athletics. It's an esteemed panel of academic and athletic leaders with an eye toward reform of college athletics. The work of the leadership group focuses on academic values and policies. Let's go to LA, where Erica Hughes joins the bluff. The former USC assistant coach is the new head coach of LMU Women's Hoops. She joins the Lions after 4 years at Southern Cal, her alma mater. She's also been an assistant at New Mexico and New Mexico State. In Spokane, there are some big shoes to fill as Tommy Lloyd leaves the Zags to become Arizona's head coach. He had been Mark Few's right-hand man for the last 20 seasons. In that time, the Bulldogs made the NCAA tournament every year and twice made the national title game. Lloyd is known as the best international recruiter in the country, getting the likes of Domantas Sabonis, Rui Hachimura, and Killian Tilly to come to Spokane. To the Bay Area, where congrats are in order for another coach. San Francisco's Frank Lavriscia is retiring after 4 years on the Hilltop. He rebuilt the Dons' indoor volleyball program, leading them this year to their best season in almost a decade. He also led the beach volleyball squad the last 4 seasons. When we last gave out a beach volleyball trophy in 2019, LMU shocked perennial power and rival Pepperdine to win its first ever WCC crown. This year, the Lions entered as the favorite and successfully defended their title.
In a year that has been so challenging, to finally conclude the season here in person with a full championship experience was really, really special.
That was our 4th time playing Pepperdine this year, so they knew the players, you know. It was more talk about, you know, let's stay aggressive. You know, I think sometimes when the moment gets big, you can get a little tentative. So it's more about let's go for it, let's play to win. This was the only chance we had all year for our seniors, for our players to play in front of their home crowd, you know, even though it's not quite our home, but it's pretty close. So we really got fortunate to be here, and thankful that our whole staff and administration and other teams supported us. We want to go and just play our best. We want to bring, you know, our personal best, and whoever's on the other side, you know, they'll decide the outcome. But we want to go bring it, and we're excited for the opportunity. It's really a big deal for us. We've come a long way as a program. So when we're there, we want to make the most of it, and we want to go for it.
When we come back, what's trending on social media? We scroll through Twitter and Instagram and take a look at the best tweets and posts. And a Pacific basketball player becomes the first to be drafted by a WNBA team. We talk with Valerie Higgins of the New York Liberty. That's coming up when we return. This episode comes to you courtesy of Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. Visit HerculesTires.com. And Shamrock Office Solutions, delivering Ricoh digital copier and IT solutions to the Bay Area for over 19 years. Here are some of the best moments on social media. Shout out to the Pepperdine women's tennis team. The Waves claimed the WCC title for the 8th straight year and the 28th time in program history. With no conference tournament this year, Pepperdine earns the WCC automatic berth into the NCAA tournament. Congrats! Same school, same results on the men's side. Pepperdine wins the conference title for the first time since 2013, and that means the Waves go to the NCAA tournament for the 44th time in program history. Wow. Speaking of conference titles, these two know a few things about that. Sean and Heather Olmstead coached the men's and women's volleyball teams at BYU. Both brother and sister won their conference's championships this year. Sibling goals indeed. And how about this stat line from former Zag Domantas Sabonis? 22 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists at halftime. The two-time All-Star is the third player to do that since the league started tracking that stat in 1998. He finished with 26, 19, and 14 in just 30 minutes. Did we mention he missed the previous 6 games with a back injury? Welcome back, Domas. We're back on WCC All-Access. I'm Ezra Broder. She did it all at Pacific. 3-time All-Conference first-team pick, 2-time WCC Defensive Player of the Year, and now Valerie Higgins is the first WNBA draft pick in program history. I caught up with her the day after she heard her name called in the draft. And joining us now, the 25th overall pick in the WNBA draft, Pacific's Valerie Higgins. First of all, congratulations. What was that moment like when you found out that you were drafted?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was surreal. I got a text from my agent before my name popped up on the screen, and he's like, make sure you're watching. And he just said the number 25. And I was like, it was kind of cryptic. I was like, okay, maybe, it's going to happen. And I was sitting there with my family, and I saw my name pop up on the screen, and I just was in complete shock. It was just such a blessing. I think I sat there and I just put my hands on my face, and I was like, this is really happening. It was a dream come true. And it's just everything that I've worked for coming up. It was my dream since I was a kid to get drafted and play in the WNBA, and for everything to just kind of come together. It was an amazing moment.
So you were listed in the final mock draft on ESPN the day before the draft, but I don't remember seeing your name in a mock draft before that. Did you have any sense of what your chances of being picked were kind of before the draft? Yeah,
so it kind of also happened very quick. I think about 2 weeks or so, maybe a little bit longer than that before the draft. Coaches started calling Bradley Davis and my agent, and we started sending film out, working with my agent, and we knew it was a real possibility. We knew that, certain teams were interested in me and that, it might happen, but, the draft is everything. You never know how it's going to go. You never know what's going to happen. And so just kind of prayed, kept my fingers crossed, and hoped for the best. And just the day before, I just talked to my parents, and I was like, you know what, it's in God's hands. Whatever happens is meant to be. So
you're the first WNBA draft pick in program history, and if my math's correct, I think the 9th draft pick in conference history. What does that mean to you and to the Pacific program?
It means a lot to me. Going to Pacific, I knew that I was going to be with a coaching staff that believed in me, working with, people that are just amazing. The university is a great support system. And it's an honor that I was the first ever draft pick. And I just hope that it kind of sets the tone. And I don't want to be the last one. I hope that there's another girl going into Pacific that gets drafted. And it's such a blessing and an honor. I was in shock, just coming from a kid from Stockton, going to New York. So
you were a 3rd-round pick. In the past, they don't have the best record in terms of actually making the final roster. What's your sort of approach going into training camp?
Just being myself, doing what I do, working hard, being professional, I just am excited to even have the opportunity to go to a training camp and play with players that are the best, high caliber level, and just coming in with a fresh mindset, doing what I bring to the table, defense and driving and those kinds of things, but also just having kind of a sponge mind. I want to learn, I'm going to be playing with the best players that there are in the entire world.
Have you had a chance to just kind of soak it in and realize how big of an accomplishment this is? And I think you mentioned it before, this is what you've been working towards, your whole life, your whole basketball career, and you did it.
Mm-hmm. I think it hits me more and more every hour as I'm going through this process, and just my mom will walk up to me and she's like, you got drafted in the WNBA, and I'm just like, wow, I did, I really did it. And at first, like, it was like a lot happened. I went like into complete shock. Everyone was texting me and calling me, and like it was like a sensory overload, you know. And then I think today I had more time just to, you know, be with my family and just really think about, you know, how big of an accomplishment this is and just kind of take it all in. But I think once I get there and I step foot in the gym, it's really gonna hit me.
The newest men's basketball head coach in the WCC is also one of the youngest. 39-year-old Leggins takes over a Portland team in desperate need of a fresh start. He caught up with our basketball correspondent Andy Katz about what it's going to take to turn this pilot program around.
So look, you had as close a view of Gonzaga as any non-WCC team because Cheney Washington's right there outside of Spokane. So you know what the standard is in the WCC. How do you stay in that neighborhood, in that top four, where you can be a pest? Maybe you can pluck them off at home and the other teams that are like you. Because as you said, we've seen success in this league of a rotation of teams, sort of 2 through 5 over the last 5 years or so.
You got to get a recruiting niche. You know, you got to get a group of guys. Again, like you got to go on the road and find players. You got to get a niche. You know, St. Mary's had their international niche and it was working and they were doing well. BYU has bringing the older guys and having their, you know, their style of play, and every other team has, they've come, but they haven't been able to sustain it. And so what we're hoping is, you know, we could bring our style and we could bring our recruiting niche and we could keep that, you know, keep that sustained, because we feel that if you can get the right guys and you can build up a program and you can get high school guys and you can get them to stay. I know it's a hard task now with all the transfers, but if you can go, you know, find those kids and help them and develop them to become better and to become guys with chips on their shoulders and want to beat the Gonzagas and want to beat the St. Mary's and want to beat the Pepperdines and the LMUs and the BYUs. That's what you have to do, and you have to go find the players that want to do that. And there's a lot of guys out here who want to play against the top team in the country. I mean, as you keep getting the players and you develop them, you're going to give yourself an opportunity to be up there with those teams, and that's our goal.
Here's the thing that I know a lot of people say about programs, but I think it is true because there's been good people, you know, at the top at Portland, Eric Reveneau, Terry Porter, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't been clicking consistently. From what you've seen from afar, what needs to change at Portland to tap into that success and awake a sleeping program?
Yeah, sleeping giant. It's an unbelievable place. The bluff is unbelievable. You gotta recruit locally. Obviously, there's some really good kids that, you know, there's some kids that were here in the state of Oregon that went down. You know, there's kids in Portland that went down to Gonzaga. I mean, there's kids in this area you have to recruit. Obviously, we're a little late for the 2021 class, and we're trying to figure out the guys for the 22 class. But there's so much talent in this state. And I know Oregon, you got Oregon State, you got Portland State. So how can we keep a couple of those kids in state to play for the University of Portland and go out and put the Portland on your chest and go out and beat teams? And this is a very prideful town. And so that's the plan. We got to find some of these kids to stay in town. You know, just stay in town, not in state, just stay in town.
One more block to go. Coming up, we look ahead at the calendar at some key events on the horizon. And more postseason action as volleyball and soccer seasons come to a close. We recap another stellar campaign up next. You're watching this episode thanks to our sponsors, Heffernan Insurance, because you're different, and Don Francisco's Coffee, premium quality, great tasting, family crafted coffee since 1870, backed by 150 years of coffee roasting expertise for a perfect cup every time. Here's what to watch for in the coming weeks. The last WCC Championship of the season is in mid-May. The rowing title will be given out on May 15th in Vancouver, Washington. Gonzaga has won 5 straight and 6 of the last 7 conference titles. 2 more titles to go. The WCC will hand out its softball and baseball trophies in late May. With no conference baseball tournament this year, the regular season winner gets the league's automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. And it's never too early to think about the NBA draft. Circle July 29th on your calendars, as it's going to be a historic night for the WCC. Gonzaga has as many as 4 guys projected to be picked, including consensus top 3 pick Jalen Suggs. Welcome back to WCC All-Access. I'm Ezra Broder. With so many sports happening this spring, you may have missed some of the greatness shown by our teams. It's okay, we forgive you. Let's run through some of them right now. The Santa Clara women made the big dance for the 30th time in program history. The 11th seeded Broncos won their first 2 matches against Ohio State and Arkansas, and as of this taping, are still competing in the tournament. The BYU women nabbed the 12th seed in the NCAA tournament, meaning at least 2 WCC teams made the big dance for the 29th consecutive season. The Cougars fell to Virginia in the second round. On the men's side, LMU made its second NCAA appearance in as many seasons. The Lions faced Marquette in their first match, where they lost in penalty kicks. On the hardwood, 3 WCC teams made the NCAA volleyball tournament. That marks the 5th time in the last 9 years at least 3 teams made the tournament. BYU, San Diego, and Pepperdine all won their first matches. The Toreros and Waves lost in the second round, while BYU advanced to the Sweet 16. A pair of women's tennis teams were picked to play in the NCAA Championships. Pepperdine earned the 5th overall seed and hosted a regional, while San Diego made the field as an at-large pick. On the men's side, as we mentioned, Pepperdine earned the conference's automatic bid to the tournament and competed for the 44th time in its illustrious history. 3 men's golf teams made the NCAA tournament field. Pepperdine earned a number 2 seed in their region, while San Francisco and San Diego are competing for the first time since 2018 and 2015, respectively. On the women's side, the Waves returned to the big dance for the 22nd straight season after a stellar regular season. And back to the beach, where LMU made its first NCAA tournament appearance in program history, one of just 8 teams nationally to make the field. And that'll do it. Thank you for watching WCC All-Access. We leave you now with some of the best plays from the last few weeks of action. See you next time.
Jacob works the play. Ball lined right at second base, and that's it. A no-hitter for Alex Jacob.
The 2-0. Epinesa! Left field! Gone! Walk it off, BYU!
Distance for a shot, and she gets it in. Skylar Smith with space to shoot, and she takes it.
This episode was brought to you in part by Reveal Suits, the official business apparel partner of the West Coast Conference. It's what's inside. Visit revealsuits.com. And Signature Championship Rings. Your success set in stone.